Inflation's not really a mysterious thing to understand. A lot of people think it's just this thing that came down, inflation. Oh, why do we have inflation? You end up sounding like Kamala Harris. Inflation is what happens when things get more expensive. And that hurts people. We don't like to see people hurt. So we need to fight inflation. It's just ridiculous. It's like there's a way to solve it. And we've known this for years. It's just simply all inflation is too much money chasing too few goods and services. And then if there's too much money out there compared to the economy, everything gets more expensive. That's general inflation. And you don't even have to see it in a country like the United States or Canada. If you've ever played an online role-playing game, for example, where it's persistent, it's always in one spot and people can trade and they can get gold and they buy stuff with the gold. Invariably, there's rampant inflation and pretty soon you have millions of gold and billions. I was playing this Star Wars, The Old Republic. And it started out like 10,000 credits is a lot of credits. Now everyone has billions of credits. And because they got out of control, they put too much money into the system, imaginary money, but there was not enough to spend it on. So you get this disruption. And so the game developers, they understand how to attack it. They try to do money sinks, pulling money out. That's how you deal with inflation. Now, inflation is different than individual prices going up. Because you could have a shortage of, let's say, there's a bad weather and you have a shortage of watermelons. And because of that, the watermelon price spikes. Well, that's not inflation. That's not a monetary problem. It's not that you have too much money out there. It's you have a shortage of watermelons. So you got to distinguish between the two. But what's so frustrating is we have these ditzy people, and let me show you this lady. I'm sure she's a sweet lady. She should be married to a guy, having babies, taking care of the house. But instead, I don't know who she is, but she's trying to discuss economic policy. Let's take a look.
To talk about different issues that are important to Canadians, including, of course, what is happening in the world. We know that a lot of the geopolitical instability is causing a lot of anxiety.
All right. This is very feminine. Oh, it's causing a lot of anxiety. Well, sweetheart, this is the world forever. There's always been anxiety. I remember the 80s. There was anxiety about the Soviet Union and potential nuclear warfare. There's always anxiety. Anxiety is not the cause of inflation. It's just a stupid thing to say.
With Canadians. And also we know that affordability issues are linked to the fact that there are so many supply chains that have been disrupted because there are so many geopolitical tensions.
All right, geopolitical supply chains being disrupted, but that's not causing the inflation in Canada. You could have said during COVID when they shut everything down, that caused the prices to increase. And I could see that, but we're not seeing that issue now. It's not like there's an oil shortage or anything like that. Everything is pretty well functioning normally, but we're still seeing big inflation, not only in the United States, but definitely Canada.
And we saw it again today with what happened in Kyiv and across Ukraine. And
when did it become Kyiv? For my whole life, it was Kiev, like chicken Kiev. And all of a sudden, there's a war in Ukraine, and everyone starts running around saying Kyiv. It's just so stupid.
Of course, we condemn these attacks by Russia. And at the same time, we saw it yesterday.
And by the way, her body language, she knows she's lying and she's not making a lot of sense because she's rubbing her hands a little bit. That means she has a lot of anxiety. She's trying to project something. What she's trying to do is what a lot of politicians try to do. Instead of being accountable, they try to blame outside factors. Because Canada is becoming a shithole because of mass immigration. The Canadian people are losing their homelands. They no longer have any sort of individual liberty, and the economy is shit because they spend way too much paying for these illegals and they're not getting in enough taxes. It's that simple. So they print a lot of money and you see wild inflation happening in Canada. And it has nothing to do with Putin or Kyiv or Hezbollah or, none of that. This is just an excuse to blame on something else to divert. And she knows that because just how she's rubbing her hands there.
With the Hezbollah attack on Israel and Israel standing.
She knows she's lying. She knows she's lying. It's just so obvious. I can read people. She's just real hesitant. She's like, are they buying this bullshit? Are they buying the bullshit? All right. Well, whatever you feel about the war in Ukraine, that's a whole different issue. Or the Israel doing their little ethnic cleansing in the Gaza Strip. Whatever. That's another issue. But that's not the cause of the shitty conditions in Canada. And have some woman be talking like this and rubbing her hands and like, it's creating anxiety. It's not our fault. Putin is making us feel bad, and that's causing inflation. Like I said, she seems like a nice woman. In better times, she would be at home with the kids, playing with the kids, getting them ready for school, not fucking up the entire economy. And I'm not sure her position. But we're seeing this all through the West, including Kamala Harris as an example of this. And we got to stop this. We got to get serious people in these positions, not people that are wringing their hands, talking about how things make them feel bad and anxious. And maybe that's causing inflation. And, Putin mean. And, Hezbollah mean. No, we need something more serious than what we're seeing here. Talk to you guys later.